Hi there, my name is Kieran Olson. I'm the founder of Young Men's Mentoring, and today I'm going to do a little presentation on what Young's Mentoring is and how it can help your teenage boy going through behavioral issues both at school and at home. In this video, you're going to learn how to support your teenage son more and improve his behavior and confidence, how our current society is hurting our boys and how it's setting them up for failure, and how Young Men's Mentoring helps teenage boys with behavioral issues and how your boy can get help from us. So how Young Men's Mentoring came to be. I'm just going to minimize my screen here so it's out of the way. All right, so my name is Kieran. I grew up in the suburbs of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I come from a family of 4 kids. I have a mom, dad, and my mom remarried my current father. Pretty regular family. Dad worked a job selling hair products, shampoo, and my mom was a school teacher for a bit, and then she ran a baby daycare out of her home for over 25 years. So you can say I've been around kids for a bit. I moved out when I was 18 because I didn't want to have to listen to babies crying anymore. I was too early to be a dad. I love playing sports like hockey, games like Cops and Robbers, and of course all kinds of video games. There's some pictures of me when I was 8 years old on my birthday. My mom would always bake me a cake. That's me in my favorite uniform, ice hockey gear. So me and public school don't mix from the beginning. I specifically remember at 6 years old on my first day of all-day school. So in kindergarten, you go from school just a half day for like 2 or 3 hours. And then when you get to grade 1, so you're 6, you then go from school from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., at least in Canada. I know in the United States, it's a lot of the same. And I just remember how much I hated sitting all day. The first day was just so weird, like trying to teach me math and subtractions, and I just want to go out and play. You know, I think that picture of me when I was 6, I just on the bike there. So I would get sent out into the hall for hours a week just because, you know, I'd be creative in my head when I'm sitting at the desk trying to find fun things to do, throwing paper balls at other kids or whatever I wanted to do. So teachers would start talking amongst themselves and start labeling me as a bad kid. And before it even get to the next grade, the new teacher for the year would view me as a kid there to cause trouble. Almost like in certain neighborhoods, cops will regularly stop certain groups of people in public more than in other neighborhoods where there's less police. I was getting in trouble for the most minor things other kids would get away with, just for being myself. It almost brainwashed me into thinking that like I'm a criminal or a bad kid from a very early age in life. As you can see, Bart Simpson there, writing lines on the wall. I was sort of like the Bart Simpson at my school, except they didn't make you write lines because it was too much work for the teachers. No, I'm just joking. I don't hate teachers. My sister's a teacher. We got lots of friends that are teachers. I'll get into that a bit later. At 11 years old, I had to transfer schools because I was threatened by the principal that if I came back to school the following year, anytime I did anything, I'd be sitting in the principal's office and I'd get really big suspensions, like weeks at a time, sitting at lunchtime in the office instead of going and playing, which of course would just make the problem worse because I have a lot of energy. Luckily, my mom never put me on Ritalin or Adderall or anything like that. She didn't believe in it, and I'm really glad I never got drugged on that stuff. I'll also get into that. So yeah, there's me playing the trombone when I was growing up. My parents don't really know what to do. They feel that they're not able to raise me properly as they're constantly getting phone calls from their principals and teachers about how bad I am. They got 4 kids and they got to raise everyone and they're working full time. At 12 years old, my mom and my dad sent me to live with my aunt and uncle on an acreage about 5 hours from Vancouver to finish the rest of grade 7. I still remember them driving away from my aunt's farm and leaving me there for the first time where I'm completely on my own. I wouldn't say it was probably the best experience of my life. I really liked living with my aunt and my uncle, and I did learn a lot. But it was really tough at 12 to sort of get put somewhere and your parents to drive off on you. Not that I blame them or anything, but it is just what happened. And it was an experience and it made me the person I am today. So during high school, the actual first year of high school goes pretty good. My grades are decent and my teachers treat me with respect because they don't know me. They don't have anything to base it on. They just see me and come on, don't look like a good guy. My creativity and my energy starts to come out quickly though, as teachers don't like the extra work of me always challenging my ideas or, you know, just getting up to my rambunctious self like a lot of teenage boys or just high energy. By grade 9, grade 10, I get multiple suspensions and again, the same cycle as elementary school. I get suspended for things like selling firecrackers around Halloween at the school to people. A couple times maybe blowing up a couple of firecrackers in the school, stuff like that. Harmless stuff. I never was out to hurt anyone, just having some fun. And teachers don't like it when you have too much fun. For good reason, they got a job to do as well. So I would also start hanging out with other students getting into trouble, and the cycle just gets worse. One good thing is, though, I also hung out with kids who get bullied, is I could relate to being misunderstood, and this helped me not get too far down the wrong path, because oftentimes the kids getting bullied aren't necessarily the kids causing trouble. And so that was just something I wanted to mention there. Luckily, a mentor appears. My older sister gets a boyfriend who comes around to visit a lot. He's a bit older. He think he's cool. He skateboards, snowboards, stuff like that. He treats me as an equal and someone I can look up to, who's been a couple years ahead of me. And I'm able to like talk to him, and he will listen to me, and I can get advice on his opinion of things. Like things start to improve. I got a job when I was 15. I remember I went and applied to 30 different places. I got rejected by everyone. And then my sister's boyfriend says, dude, man, why don't you just go to the Red Robins, which is a local burger place, and ask for the kitchen manager and just see if you can get a job washing dishes or something. I was like, you can just go to the manager and ask. So that's what I did. I went there, and they gave me a working interview where I had to show up and wash dishes, and then I got the job, and I worked there for a long time, and I really liked working. Gave me something to do, gave me money, gave me power. Money and power, good thing for boys. Just not the wrong way. So I also get better at dealing with my parents and my siblings. Someone else to talk to, get a second perspective, someone a bit more neutral, not directly related to the family. It was really awesome. I also slowly stopped getting in trouble at school because I'm using my energy now. He's taking me skiing and talk to someone else. I feel a bit more self-worth from it. It was really nice. I ended up graduating high school and going to university. I was able to gain confidence to do a part-time job as well as my mentor. And I also really wanted to be a police officer because I thought it was so awesome to get paid to help people and chase people down and arrest bad guys. And that's sort of what I thought. I always watched Cops and America's Most Wanted. I knew that if I was out committing crimes and if I didn't go to post-secondary, it'd be really hard to become a police officer. That's a picture of me, my cousin, my arm around him. We went to Asia when we were young, and I was sort of like the babysitter. It was a lot of fun. So I ended up going to university. During university, at the beginning, luckily my mom made me take these learning tests, and I'm diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD. Nobody's surprised. I don't know. Hopefully my spelling is okay on this slideshow. If it's not, blame it on my learning disability. But no, don't blame it on my learning disability. You got to take responsibility for everything. But so in Canada, the government gave me funding because I was on student loans to pay for a tutor to help me with my learning disability. So my tutor is a guy named Paul. He was about 7 years older than me. And I was also able to like quickly look up to him. He did similar things to me, played hockey and was doing his master's. And he also gave me tons of advice about just how to go through university, how to deal with people socially, how to deal with women, how to apply for jobs after university, what I should be doing in university just to get ahead. And during the university, I actually did pretty good because I had a lot to do and I sort of had the power to choose what I wanted to study. And the pictures down below, it's my friend Andy on the left. He's running a painting business now. I used to run a painting business as well. The middle picture, I went over to Zambia when I was 19 and I volunteer at the school. I still go there, and actually part of Young Mentoring's program, I do offer a program where you can send your kid with me if it all works out, to come with me to Zambia in our summertime and actually go to their school and just sort of help out the kids, teach them our own skills and just have fun and see what it's like over there. And then the picture on the far right, I did an international exchange when I was studying social work at a university in Sweden. And that was on the last day I was getting on the train, and a bunch of my friends came to meet me and signed a Swedish flag for me. So what have I done since graduating university with a Bachelor of Social Work degree? I moved up to the Canadian Arctic and I was running youth programs up there. I've traveled to over 50 countries. It's programs means countries. I've volunteered with a ton of different teenagers, mainly boys. Why boys? I was a teenage boy myself going through my own thing, and I just love working with them. I feel like I can get a lot of teenage boys and help them because I've just been through similar experiences. That's me the second time when I went to Zambia and over there in Nepal, which is another program we do offer. I've worked with teenage male offenders in the woods for over 2 years, working 24/7 at a time with them. We even sleep in the same room in bunk beds, and we do like a run program every morning. It's on the right side. That's the lake where we did the program at, out in the wilderness. Um, I've had various roles at group homes, youth centers, high schools. I recently ran a business for 4 years, hiring college students to paint houses for the summer. The picture on the right is my first crew, my first summer crew of painters, and that was my van that I painted blue, and the house behind us we painted. And actually, the day after that picture was in my first 2 months of running the business. The van broke down, and I had to bike around for a couple of days until I found a new van. And then the picture on the left is a camp. It's called Camp Choice. It's a program out in Vancouver for basically just taking kids out for a week into a summer camp and just doing self-development stuff with them, and yeah, just having fun. So the problem with today's help for teenage boys. The only support for teenage boys now, in most cases, is boys with behavior so bad that society can't ignore it. So, maybe the cops are getting called, or the child protection workers, there's poverty and stuff at home. It's hard to find, and it does exist like in Boy Scouts and stuff, but it's hard to find one-on-one mentorship for kids that don't have such serious problems that they can't be ignored. So for example, when I was growing up, there wasn't really like counselors or mentors. Like there was just mentors in the community, but no one that like you could pay or that would just show up and hang out with me type of thing. And a lot of the support comes in the forms of medication and unfortunately locking teenage boys up. I've worked at young offenders facilities in Canada, and I know in the US, it's the most jailed country in the world. And oftentimes in social work and counselors are talking to kids in offices. So they're sort of bringing boys in and sitting them down in an office. We don't like offices. We told offices are bad. We get sent to the office because we're being bad. And just boys they're high energy and they want to do activities in environments they're comfortable in. I wasn't comfortable as a teenage boy sitting in an office. And when I was a child protection worker and I had to sit in an office, I wasn't comfortable with that either. And when I had to bring boys in to talk with them, it just wasn't a good situation. The times I saw results and improvements in teenage boys was when I was engaged in activities with them on a regular basis for an extended period of time. Like when I was working in the woods with the kids that instead of going to jail, they come to this wilderness program. We lived together for 4 months. We do activities all day. We would get close and develop relationships and can actually really work on stuff and work through stuff together. Yeah. So why isn't BetterHelp easily available for our sons? So we live in a society where we have burdened ourselves with so much financial responsibility. Professionals are often dealing with a ton of financial stress to pay off debt for things like student loans, homes, cars. And most often, the job the social worker or the teacher has, maybe they got into it because they wanted to help people. Generally, people have really good intentions. But as life piles on, they almost are so financially burdened that they need now to keep their job in order to continue to survive. So unfortunately, this means that teenage boys' development for the social workers isn't always the number one priority, as they're more concerned about just protecting their job than they are doing real help, because they also have a responsibility to protect their family and themselves as well. There's some pictures, and the one in the bottom right corner here she says, "This is my degree in social worker paperwork. When I was a child protection worker, probably 90% of my time was just writing up legal documents and reports, on the 10% of the job where I was actually communicating with families and that." It's a picture of a kid with a bunch of pills in front of them, which unfortunately when kids have ADHD and other stuff, oftentimes doctors recommend them drugs, which, ADHD is just being a high energy kid, and that's not a bad thing. So my personal experience as a social worker, I've worked a variety of jobs, and I could just see that when I would go into these jobs, it was sort of a dead end for me as the worker and for the youth. Me as a worker, it's a dead end because I couldn't do what I really wanted to do, really, really help kids effectively. And I wasn't also getting paid that much. And bills are expensive, especially when you live in North America. And it was just there was nowhere to go because I also want to have my own family one day and be able to support them. And for the youth, sometimes the programs, even the young offenders program, after 4 months, the kids would leave. They would go back to the same environment they had just come from without our support anymore. and it wasn't always the best result. During my jobs, just like in school, sometimes the bosses and other workers would criticize me for creating new initiatives and trying to do new and better things. For example, like as a child protection worker, sometimes going for a walk with the kids or the families, getting out of the office and that kind of thing. And it's just more risk when you go for a walk with somebody, right? Like it could be accusations and this kind of stuff was what was going through the workers' heads and why other people wouldn't do it. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't put on planet Earth just to sit in an office and talk behind a desk and type up reports. So I ended up quitting all my social work jobs in the end, as my mission is to help teenage boys be their best selves and realize getting a job in a broken system, I wasn't going to do that. So I've moved my whole life actually over to a place where I'm not as financially stressed and I can really just focus on helping teenage boys. So today's teenage boys and mentors. This is a bit disturbing, but also don't worry, there's hope. The world has changed over the last 12 years. Generation Z, so that's 22 years and younger, are more comfortable communicating on screens versus in person. So you as a parent might not know this for your guys' personal relationship because he's born from a baby talking with you face to face. But generally when they're speaking with other people, they like to communicate over FaceTime or even text message and Facebook Messenger, this kind of stuff. Also, it's harder and harder to find good male mentors, not that they don't exist, but say families are moving locations more and more often for work, so it's harder to build long-term relationships. And male role models have less time because we're working more because life is just more expensive and there's more competition. And we're more isolated oftentimes. Like for a long time, I lived in downtown Vancouver in metropolises or work camps, and there's just not as many kids in these locations. So we just don't, so oftentimes good male role models, we want to help, but there's no kids around and we're all over the place and we're on our computers all the time. Versus in the community that traditionally like in the 80s and stuff where you would know your neighbors across the street and maybe there's an older guy who's a good guy and he can mentor your kid. That hopefully does exist for you, but for a lot of people the reality is it just isn't there anymore. Also, unfortunately, males are more hesitant to build relationships with young men that they aren't related to because of the stigma in the media of sexual abuse cases. So we naturally keep our distance just to protect us and protect the kid, even though by doing that, we're really actually hurting ourselves because we can't become good mentors, which is important for us, but also for the kids. Not having those guys around does affect them because they need people to look up to. So a couple of stats and stuff that like through my own research and my experience I've found the school to prison pipeline system is a real thing in the United States. The prison system is privatized and there's literally consultants who go into school districts and look at report cards and they'll build prisons based on the number of people failing in school currently, and they're profiting off this. So it's not, and then these people are in lobbyist groups in the White House and stuff trying to convince different bills to go through in that. And it's not necessarily the education system is not, it is in our best interest as people to have it do better for our boys, but there's other interests out there that aren't so good. Boys today are exposed to 20,000 killings on screens by the age of 17. Whether it's a bad thing or not, it just exists. That's what's going on. Boys love violence and it sells, and that's just what exists. This is the thing. Boys on average watch 2 hours a week of porn. That doesn't mean all kids watch porn. Hopefully your son doesn't, but the reality is per average, that's just what's going on, and it's better to be aware of that. Boys on average spend 40 hours a week in front of a screen. Suicides rates have gone up 4 times in the last 10 years. So it's like gone like double twice in the last 10 years for boys. Depression has increased a lot, even since I was 17. I'm 29 now, but that just comes from like anxiety from social media, more just isolation because of screens and just the way our society is developing. We're not as social in real life anymore. We're more social on the internet. School shootings have increased so much in the last few years. And I think something like the statistic is almost all the school shootings I don't know for sure all of them, but were like white teenage males, almost all from the suburbs. Increased competition in the workforce and local communities from globalizations means our sons need to be more prepared. You know, even when I was growing up, there wasn't so much immigration and integration from the web into our day-to-day life. So even in counseling, before maybe you're just competing with one or two other people in your neighborhood, now you have access to anyone all over the world, just for this exact example. But so all these stats, anyways, why do I bring them up? Basically, over the way boys are raised and what they're exposed to is changing very rapidly. And new solutions need to be made to help teenage boys become great men versus falling by the wayside and the other options, which are not good. So introducing young men's mentoring. With young men's mentoring, we can improve your son's behavior, confidence, and social skills. This results in improved report cards and probably not getting as many calls home from the teachers or principals. We'll ensure that he doesn't get stuck in the school to prison pipeline. We'll get him off to university or a career he wants, or whatever it is he truly wants to do that is positive and supports his well-being and his family's. And we'll improve your family life because you can stop stressing about your son and where he is going and what he's up to, because we're here to help. So what is it exactly? It's basically an online community for teenage boys to be themselves and have positive older male role models to look up to and seek advice from and get help from. So 1 to 2 times a week, you're basically playing online video games with me and the other mentors as a team and other teens in the program. We're going to do video chat, just like the video chat here. We're all going to have headsets and video chat and be playing games. In the corner, there's like Fortnite. Fortnite right now is a very popular video game for a lot of teenage boys. But depending who's in the program at the time, we sort of see what the boys want to play, and we usually play that. I personally love NHL ice hockey, but most teenage boys don't like that game unless you're up in Canada, and let's do it. And then 1 time a week, we'll do one-on-one FaceTime or Skype between me and your son to check and ensure that everything's okay with him, working on his scheduling, planning out the week ahead, sort of seeing what his challenges are, what he thinks his challenges are and wants to work on, and also sometimes through the gameplay. Say, for example, a kid has an anger issue, but I don't know that when I'm talking with Skype. But then we see him playing video games, and then he freaks out because he messed up or one of the other teammates messed up. So then I can, hey, man, I noticed we were playing Fortnite here, and he started freaking out when he got shot. And he smashed your controller. Talk to me about that. Where else is that showing up? And it's just a way to like get to know them without just sitting there and talking like boys don't like to do. And also just on that, we also work with the parents and sort of check in. And if I notice something that maybe could help you as a parent to better parent your child, not that I know more than you as a parent, you're a parent, I'm not a parent, but just some things that I can see from a neutral perspective that I can like sort of be there to help offer advice and be support for both the kid and the parents. And so this next slide, you want to encourage my son to play more video games. Yes. Through playing more video games together, it allows your son to get more comfortable in an environment that he likes, and we can bond just having fun together and just being normal. You know, sometimes it's not necessarily normal just to go and talk to a counselor. So that's why I created this program, because I mean, I would have loved when I was growing up if I could just play, if my mom wanted me to play some video games and there was some older guys there that were successful and like could help and I could ask advice to, it would have been great. And the kids in the program love it too. We can figure out what's really going on in your son's life because we can see how he reacts in a situation that he is in daily in a safe spot, like playing video games online. It's not dangerous and we're here to hang out. And the boys don't want to just sit there and talk generally, so we can just play some games and talk when they want to talk. So what you get with the Young Men's Mentoring System. 1 time a week, approximately 30-minute video conversations between one of our male mentors and your son. It's always the same mentor. It's worth about $1,500. And I say approximately 30 minutes because sometimes we don't need to talk for 30 minutes, but other times maybe it'll drag on for 45 minutes or something if something big is going on. So approximately 30 minutes a week. 2 weekly check-ins over email between myself and the parent for the best way for us to support and help you as well. I'll also give you my personal phone number for emergencies. I'll give you an education PDF cheat sheet that we put together to sort of how to deal with your son's teachers to improve relationships and how your son can learn some things, how to better deal with his teachers, just because it's best to have teachers on our side, even if it doesn't always seem that way. And I'll also, this is actually a really valuable one, I'll provide a learning test for your son that he can do over the computer to identify his strengths and weaknesses for learning, so we can best support him as well as the parents and the teachers, plus a 30-minute consultation with myself from the results of this test. So like, say for example, if we find out your son's a visual learner, so instead of telling him something, we almost have to show him something, and the results can change. This test alone it's really valuable, and even if you didn't want to do my program, which I hope you do, you should do this test. So twice weekly, I'll be available online as well as the other mentors to play games like Fortnite for an hour. I recommend no kid ever plays more than 2 hours a day of video games or has more than 2 hours of screen time a day. That's when depression type stuff can start, and it's no need to be sitting in front of a screen more than 2 hours a day. But on the other side is kids just play video games now. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just when video games become excessive, it's not great. You'll get up to 1 free emergency phone call with me a month where Kieran or your mentor will be available to support you in any way possible. Say if your son is in a crisis and he needs support fast, we'll be there for you. Obviously, like if it's midnight or something, you call me. If I don't wake up, I don't wake up, but we will be by the phone and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And oftentimes if you call, we'll be right there. You also get 20% discount on any summer wilderness canoe trip you want to do with us, or a volunteer mission to Zambia if you want to come. It could be worth $2,000. Those trips are amazing. They're not really offered anywhere else, and they're great, and I would really recommend it, but we can cross that bridge later. You also get a free copy of my book on raising today's teenage boys, and just useful tips for parents that oftentimes parents don't know. No one's a bad parent. It's just always learning more and different ways of dealing with youth is great to know. So this total value of $5,080, the offer is $679 a month for this young men's mentoring system. It's an 87% discount. I'm doing a limited time offer right now. So regularly it would be $4,074 for 6 months. I'm offering for now until this video goes offline, $2,897 for 6 months. If you want to sign up, that's $482 a month, 95% discount. Generally, therapists are charging about $200 to $300 a session for an hour, and no knocking on therapists or anything, but sometimes your kid doesn't need a therapist. You just need someone to bounce ideas with and hang out, and that's a really good deal. So what if you don't like it and it doesn't work for your son? We absolutely guarantee a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked, and you get to keep the book and you get to keep the exam for your kid. And so yeah, so who is it for? So Young Men's Mentoring is for teenage boys who are in trouble with their behavior. It's getting them in trouble at school, maybe socially, with their family at home. It's also for parents who don't have great support outside of the family for their son to connect and grow with, and traditional counselors or therapists haven't worked. Teenage boys who are great kids but are at risk or have fallen into trouble in a failed system that's hurting them and your family. So yeah, basically kids who are just getting in trouble. We got kids that get to trouble in different ways. I'm going to offer you a consultation here. We can sort of talk about that. I don't accept every boy or every kid because I can't help everyone. And if I don't think I can provide value to you guys, I won't offer you the program because I don't want you spending money and going through stress that doesn't make sense. But I will help guide you to the right place if I can't help you. So most common questions I get, will my son like talking with someone online? teenage boys now are just more comfortable talking over screens than they are in real life. And when you throw in video games, often the kids love it. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be the odd one out who does not like talking on a screen and doing video games, and that's why I offer 30-day money back guarantee. So won't playing video games make my son's issue worse? Teenage boys are going to play video games. It's just what they do. It's better to have them monitored playing video games with good people like me and other youth around. And it also, like, if they have a self-control issue with video games, you know, say if they're playing video games with me twice a week and I'm checking with them, we can work on that during our half an hour meeting a week where we do the scheduling. And they'll probably also just see me, you know, doing other stuff and other kids doing other stuff outside of video games, and we'll get introduced them to do other stuff that's more productive than video games. Video games are productive in small amounts because they do teach team building, reaction, how to work together and achieve stuff. So they are cool. It's just like a sport, like an esport. That's my opinion. Of course, not everyone agrees. So you can sign up for a free complimentary strategy session with me over Skype. We can find out ways to better support your son's behavior and improve his grade at school during this strategy session. How we can better support your son. We'll also figure out if Young Men's Mentoring is a good fit for you and your boy. Again, we'll go through things because not everyone will qualify, but of course we want a couple more guys in the program right now. And if I can't help you, I'll refer you to other resources that should be able to help you depending on your unique situation here. So, yeah. So thank you for listening, and look forward to meeting you and your son soon. During the complimentary strategy session, usually I just like to talk with parents. So just click on the button to sign up, fill out the application form, be as detailed as possible, and I will see you soon. Thank you very much.